Hi, this is Paul from the Tech Modeler channel with a quick update on my 263 8 Rad, which is basically a radio vehicle. This vehicle carried radios during World War II for the Germans. It was used from 1937 through to obviously to the last vehicle was destroyed, I presume. But they was used extensively by Rommel in France. And he actually was in one of these command vehicles, and also in the Western Desert. Obviously, in the desert, we're in regards to the Africa Corps, as you can see by the actual symbol on the badge there. Anyway, so this cap number is AF 35263. Very nice vehicle. There is a few little bits to know about when you're building it. And most people who have done it most probably didn't find any problems, but I'm just going to pick out a couple of bits that I saw. There was a slight issue, but for fitment, without breaking the parts. That's mainly what it was all about. So anyway, I'm going to switch off now, and we're going to come back in a couple of seconds, and we'll be actually showing the instructions. Hi, I'm back, and here we go then. So these are the instructions. Now, this was part one, pretty straightforward to do. As you know, the chassis was actually one piece, and it was in a sealed bearing unit, which kept it nice and straight and obviously protected it during transit. Very good. These pieces went on nice and easy, obviously, and same on the other side. Bit of clean up with a little bit of very fine moulding flash, but when you cut the screws off, not nice and easy, they go in lovely, they slot in lovely, and that was okay. So number one was no problem whatsoever. Let's move up to number two now. Number two, don't forget those numbers. I was counting the parts I've built on it, and I've gone up to 72 up to the point I've built, and so there's quite a few parts. Anyway, little issues here. The base of these bits on went nice and easy again. These parts here, the front went on nice after a little bit of clean. Looks like sanding to get rid of some of the little seam lines you get when you come out of the moulds. They're not major, so it's just a light sand. These bit over here was easy to go in, and now the pedals. This bit in was easy to do, obviously, and to fit it in there was easy to do. And so, but the only thing is, it's these two pedals when they go together. I think it's a brake and a clutch. But anyway, basically, these two pedals when you glue them together, there's a bit, it says join it there, but it's so small. There's no impact. There's no little slot in, so you can actually get a good bite with the glue. That's what I found. So what I did in the end is I actually super glued a little bit of put a little bit of super glue in there, glued it together, and once it had set in the right position, I then went around with a bit of super glue around the outside just to give it a little bit more extra strength. You can't notice it actually where I put it, but it's actually really nice and strong. Then I slotted that in. So that was a little bit of a fiddly bit to do and put it in place. Next bit then was number three, and there we are in number three. And this is made up of how many parts did it say? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts for each of these little arms that go across. And these are basically the axles that run across to the wheels, as you can see. And you get these parts. Now, this part glues in. I glued that part. It says don't glue them. That's it. I didn't glue this. So number 12 and number 13, I didn't glue any of them. The top one's got more movement on the top. The actual top one, but basically that's to allow the wheels to come on so you can fit them. So, but I'll show you that when we get to the axles anyway. But as you can see, these bits were again just general clean up, really fiddly to get in and keep there while you're putting these two part of the actual drive shaft boxes together. Very fiddly, but it did work, and it's really well engineered. But yeah, so fiddly but easy to do. Nice. Then I'll go over to number 4. And here we go. So there we go. Let's get that out. Number 4. I'll put it to manual focus to make life easier, and it seems to give you a truer colour of the sheet as well. So here we go. So we're on number 4 now. Now number 4 was again putting the actual drive shafts and the axles onto the actual chassis underneath. Now that was quite straightforward, but you've got to make sure there's little lugs there that these run in, and they're a tight squeeze over the actual chassis, so that's a nice bit. So I pushed them into place. Once I was happy with them, then I dropped a bit of Tamiya extra thin round each side of it, and then gave them a really good strong groove. But what I did do before I put these down is I actually did this first. I actually put the actual drive shaft A27 into place. And once they're in place, then I put this bit on that, squares it off. That bit A24 squares it off across here, so you can actually get it in a nice position. And then while it was still basically wet, I just shoved them on there, and then they lined up even perfectly then. And they do sit nice and square on the actual work surface, which is good. And then I did the actual other axle, which links them all together to the main drive shaft box, which is this number A24, which goes underneath, and that glues onto it. Straightforward again, no problem. So all that was pretty straightforward once you lined everything up. Then basically I'm going to come down slide number 5, which is here, There you go. I think you can get all number 5 in just about. Yeah, you can. Right, here we go. So basically, it was putting the engine together. So this is up here. Basically, it's considered of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. Straightforward and easy. Clean up the bits and pieces. They do line up. Go careful putting these in the right order because it can be a bit. You can actually make a mistake. I test fitted until I was happy I got them in the right order. In basically this bit in the right place, and everything worked out really well. They glued it. I haven't painted any of this yet, but I will be painting it. But I have glued it in place. So, but at the moment I can still get to it all to paint it, so that's not a problem. But you're not going to see it. That's the thing. And they give you all call out for the different colours, and what I can see, you're not going to see, if you know what I mean. There you go. So, and this was a fuel tank going in place, and another part of the drive shaft that goes from the engine and connects all the drive shaft mechanism here that feeds all the 4 axles throughout the chassis. So that was good. And bit down the bottom here, number 6 basically was putting these on. Now the other thing you got to remember is make sure you get them in the right order. So what I did is I cleaned up all the number 3s first and placed them in place and lined them up. They've got little slots there to put them in. And the bit that actually goes into the hole in the side, because it's not it's an indentation rather than a hole through. You just got to make sure that you clean the little tab up enough so it's still there, and then it will sit flush inside it. And that's what I did. And then I did the number 4s afterwards, because they got a side that faces out, so you can actually see a better part of it. So that was that. So it was up to that point. It's pretty straightforward so far. Then we got to this part, and again another straightforward bit, not too much going on here, but basically it was putting these braces that go across the chassis over, and there's 2 of them to put them on, and you'll see them in a minute anyway. But so 26 and 26, both the same parts, come off the same screw. There's 2 A sprues, and basically that's what it is. They go on there, and then you've got these. That's the bit I've got to do. This bit of rod bit, I haven't done that yet, so I've got to just notice I missed that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to go back and feed that in, and I hope that's not going to be a problem. Just realised. Never mind. It's only on one side by the looks of it. Yes, it is. So I'll have to have a look at that in a minute, but hopefully I think you'll be able to get it in there easy enough. Anyway, so we give that a go, and because they are quite thin, so that's got to be put on. I'm going to make a mark of that, haven't I? Excuse me. Where's my pencil? There we are. To do. There you go. Just a quickie for me, that's all. And that was okay, so I've got to do that one. Then it comes to the number 8, which was the suspensions. Funny how I missed that. Anyway, so that's a good thing about going over these instructions. But basically then there was the actual leaf springs. Basically, the same problem there was a slight mould seam running across the middle, all the way around both sides. Now they definitely need to clean off, and what I use then is a trusty old scalpel to scrape like across this, each one, scraping them until they was actually clean. The other side was a bit easier because they were longer sections, and that was straightforward. But it was time consuming, but you get there in the end, and that's it. So that went together really well. These bits, number 17, they actually go into the actual main pivot inside, and obviously it's part of the suspension as well. So they go in there and they're in place, lovely. Right, now this is the fiddly bit. I'll call it. I'm going to just leave it like number 9 is. There we go. So there's number 9 in the middle. Right, these little arms here. Basically, I had a problem because the first one I did is I actually glued A9 and A11 into. I might be able to get a bit closer actually. I don't know. Let's give it a go. Yeah. So it's still in focus. Yeah, it is. So basically, this A9 and A11, I glued them in place and then tried to fit A14 onto them. And as you can see, if you can see closely, there's a little circle on these actually like a hole right through, and they go to little tags inside this bar that actually clip into place, and you don't glue it. My problem was because I glued these in, that's thin, and it was so awkward trying to get them on there. I spent God knows how long, and I was always worried about breaking number 14. In the end, I got it there, and it must have took nearly 25 minutes to get it to sort out. I've then finally done it. So, but I changed the method for the rest of them. What I did is I connected these two to there, and then dropped some glue in the holes that these go in, making sure you got the right armour the right way. And you can't really go wrong because this one drops into a slides underneath this frame bar. So put those onto there, so they're still movable. Then drop glue into the 2 holes, and then place these into a position. That way, this is already connected. I didn't have to put any pressure on anything to get any connections in, and it was lovely. And once I got them in, glued in place, that was perfect. And then I touched a bit of glue on there because I didn't want them to move. There you go. So I've done that. and that was the other 3 went in the time it took me to do one. I'd done the other 3 in slightly less time because it was an easier way of doing it. So that was that one. So that's number 10. Then I got over to the side and up on number 11 now, and I've actually done, oops, wrong thing. I've actually done this. It's quite nice, and funny enough, this went together again. Now, the best bit about this is making sure you clean up all the little bits where you cut these parts off from the sprue. Clean them up nice and thin and clean back to the actual frame, because this really butts up to there with these little bit pegs going underneath, a bit underneath this plate, the floor plate inside the vehicle. They have to be underneath. So what I did is, once I'd done that, cleaned up, make sure I test fitted a few times, and then what I did, I started gluing the tag underneath, and I'll show that on that in a minute. Pushed it in, glued it, pushed it in, glued it, glued it, glued it. Once I've done these 4 tags, what I did then is pushed them in and run a bit of glue along the seams in between these 2 joining lugs, and then pushed it there and held it there in place until it actually took. And I did the same for the other side, and that gives you a nice, really tight fix onto it as well. Over this side, we've got this bit. I'll bring it over a little bit. Over here, basically, it's the same thing, but it's a bracing bar that goes around, and the engine compartment is just there. So this is a bracing part, and these 2 plates went into place. And then what you're meant to do now is, I'm done with 12, which I've not done, is because I'm going to start carrying on with the fitments inside. Is basically put this into position, into here, and that's going to be awkward to do. I did test fit it with just the plate, and I got so far, and I did want to push it all the way because the actual steering bar is in the way a little bit as well. So the only thing is, though, if you don't put that in place, you won't get it in there afterwards, because it's got another one of those peg things that have got a very small locating peg. And that's it really. And now I'm basically up to number 13, and that's where I am at the moment. So that's what I've done. Let's have a look at the parts then in question. Let's go. Right, so the first thing is the chassis, and there she is. Now everything's really going well, like I said, with this, so it's really nice. I'm quite happy with it. And apart from those bits, like these bits here, I think you can see them now. Here's the bars that go across. You can see that bar goes across the top, and this one fits in underneath there, goes in underneath there, and it slots in slowly. But they're all in position now, so that's good. This doesn't rock at all because it's in a nice position. And if there's the steering wheel, basically you can see what I mean now. This bar here is in the way. There's the pedals, if I can do that way. There's the pedals. I think you just about see the 2 pedals, and they're super glued in, and that. So I'm going to be bending that as much as possible to actually get the plate in place later on. So there you go. And there's the engine at the front, and all the bits and pieces. I don't want to could play with the thing, but you can see. I think you can see it quite nicely. So there you go. All the bits and pieces. And when you've got the engine, all the actual imagine the front of that vehicle on, you're not going to see any of that. I will be painting it anyway to give it a bit of a coat, so it'll be okay. So that's that. And now for underneath, you see what I mean by the suspension. And coming around, and there you go. It's coming on nicely, like I said. A few bits, and I'll put that over out of the way. And I'll come in with this bit now. There she is. Went together really well. You can see there's no gaps in there and underneath. Now what I did do, I haven't sanded lightly across the wet glue, but what I did is these flaps, and I might get better with this this blade actually. There's a flap. I don't know if you can see the shine there. There's a flap. Now I started by gluing that flap, then the next one here and there and there until I got there. Once I was happy that it was virtually done, and it's a nice angle. It does angle it in nice. But if you don't clean up the joint along here where you actually removed it from the sprue, you're going to have fit problems. So I took it back with a nice sanding stick. I actually used one of these very fine sanding sticks, but I used that side because I didn't want to take too much plastic off. And then I run the glue between these joins after that started right, and run it along there and pushed it and held it in place. And I did the same for the other side. And then I put that part on, which was what part was that? Number 15 and 12. I think that's for 15 down there and 12 is there. They just slot into place. You can't miss them. If you cut them both off, they can only go in one place. And then I put the actual the internal bracing bar into place. Yeah, there you can see that. And that's how far I got with that. And then I did actually do a test fit because I've cut these bits off the sprue just to see if they did fit properly. And to be quite honest, they seem to be a perfect fit. You can see, so it's really coming well. And then I'm just put the back plate in place because this slides into place there, and then it's going to lift it up because I'm obviously not doing it properly here. If I do that, no, it's not going to go down. As soon as you move it by hand, when you sit it there, it sits there. But as soon as you put your hand there, it takes it off place. But it does actually work really well. So there she is. So if I put that there and bring this, whoops, yeah, that's it. I'll just move it. But anyway, you can see that's how far I've gone. The other two bits are test bit. These are the bits I've got done so far. So there you go. If I put them both into shot, if I move it out a little bit, that might be all right. There you go. So you can see what I've done so far. That's it, and I'm really happy with that. So what we do is we'll call that a video for now. I won't get any more done today because I've got things in the garden to do and bits and pieces. Plus my mum's coming over this afternoon, and she always comes over on every other Sunday. So she'll be coming over for dinner, and she doesn't taste nice, of course. I'm joking. Right, anyway, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. But before we go, I'll just cover it over with part of the vehicle. There we go, and I'll do that like so, and call it that quits. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Happy modelling.